Welcome to episode 28 of Excel Beyond Boundaries with Janine Martin, the owner of the Core and also Get Bent Yoga Studio. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Appreciate you taking time. So, wanted to jump right in and ask, where did it all begin for you?
So I am actually from Bradenton, Florida. So I didn't move far from home. I mean, I've been all over the world and moved other places, but always kept coming back here. And I played sports in high school, and I was always very athletic. But I'm 5'10", so that's pretty tall for a girl. I played basketball mainly and a little volleyball. And I always loved moving my body, but I was always like from a heavier family. My mom wasn't heavy, but my dad's side is very heavy. So it was like I always had to kind of like, be active to stay still thick, but not like huge. You know what I mean? So as I was growing up, I was always into sports and I was a big basketball girl. And long story short, like growing up, I loved movement. I always loved movement, but then I went through like a little hiatus of my movement when I was probably right around like 17 or 18 when I graduated from high school. I stopped moving and I got really big. I got super big. Like I became 300 pounds, which is always so fascinating because, yeah, so that was like, and I remember one day looking in the mirror and thinking, holy crap, what has happened to me? Like, I don't want to be like my family. So then I started running and started changing my diet and doing all these things and trying to adjust, allowing my body to get so out of shape. So it was like a very hey, you can be really uncomfortable and unhappy and depressed, or you can start moving your body, start being physically active, eating properly, and really working into that. That's kind of like how my fitness journey started, again after high school. Because I mean, I think we all are kind of in shape and kind of active in high school, right? But it's
Yeah,
like
majority.
as we get older, like it's like, do you stick with it? So I gained a lot of weight. And then I went the complete opposite. I actually was only doing cardio and I stopped eating basically. Young girls, they do that. And I actually went the complete opposite way. This is always so crazy. My mom was like really nervous about it because I was like 300 pounds and then I went to like 130 pounds in a very short amount of
One
time.
extreme to the other extreme.
Yeah. And I became addicted to running 5 to 10 miles almost every single day.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy and barely eating any food. And I was very skinny. So for my build, I was a size 0 and I was 30 pounds, which is not okay for my personal structure because I'm big boned as well. So I went boom, boom. And then really what really made me start to treat my body incredible was actually yoga. My aunt was a yoga teacher. The studio, she had tried to get me to do yoga for years and years. And I was always like, no, I'm not interested. And I was a big runner. My quads were super tight, my hip flexors. And she's like, you need to get in yoga because you look like you're in pain. So I did. I walked into yoga and I remember she was like, said a few things that were so nurturing to the body. And I was like, oh my God, I need to like actually feed myself. I need to treat myself right. And that was where the shift came. It was not like this aggressive, like overly active. It was like, okay, hey, how about you treat your body good?
So that helped you find balance.
Help me find balance. Literally.
Yeah, literally. That's such an inspirational story because you're so relatable. You can relate to every demographic.
Yeah, totally. I know I have the big and I have the little, and I always like, I very seldom will share pictures of it because it's such a past life of mine. Because by the time I was like 23, that's when I started to balance myself out. I was feeding myself again. I was not aggressive, like overly working out. I mean, don't get me wrong, it took many, many years to find a real balance, but I wasn't like so extreme to where I was like obese or anorexic. It was like I was actually like, okay, I can eat some food and I can do this and I started lifting weights and I always loved going to the gym. I was a cardio queen for a long time, don't get me wrong, but I did start implementing some weights here and there. I mean, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 37. And I remember being young, you wanted to be super skinny and you wanted to be, big chested. That was, sorry to say that, but it was like the way that the world looked at women. And we were supposed to be like super tiny and really skinny, but like, and then no butts. I remember that was like a thing. It was so stupid. Yeah, because thank God for Kim Kardashian and them coming into the scene because it allowed women to be like, hey, let's have some glutes and like, let's have a healthy lower body and full body. So, thank God for them because it did change the way that, the media sees the women. Yeah.
It's so strange that that was actually.
I know. And I'm so glad because I'm I'm tall, 5'10", and I am a big girl. So I like to be muscular because like that's who I am naturally. So when it was like, it's like, oh, well, it's okay to be who I am now. It's like actually encouraged to be strong and healthy now.
It is cool to see how trends influence everybody.
Totally.
Yeah, that's cool though. And I really like how you've experienced, you're in the industry and you
Yeah.
have the story to back it up.
Yeah.
You can relate to the women who think cardio is the way to go
Yep.
and are obsessed with cardio. You can relate to the people who, gain weight and
Yep.
want to get back and find their ideal balance. And yoga and then finding balance. People
Yeah.
don't know how to find balance. That's a really inspiring story.
Thank you. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun with it. And like movement is definitely my passion. I think it's part of it's like my life's thing, It's like I know what it's like to feel uncomfortable in your body in many different ways. And I know what it takes to overcome bad eating habits and family stuff and also the eating disorders in the opposite direction because I became anorexic and then a little bulimic and like I was, tossing all that around. It was very fascinating. I think about it now and I'm like, it doesn't even feel like a piece of me because it was so long ago who I've become. And I don't even think of that as, even though it did take that to be where I am, I don't think of it as like, that was me. It's like, wow, I remember her. She was cool. She needed some help. And now here she is.
That is so cool. I've got so many questions with each chapter. With the first one, what was the biggest challenge when you were overweight and wanted to get leaner? What was the biggest challenge? What were the first steps that you took?
So I remember the first, which I didn't mention this, but I was also smoking cigarettes at that time.
Okay.
Who knew? But I remember like I went out to go exercise for the first time in a long time, probably a couple years. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go for a jog. And number one, getting in clothes that I felt comfortable in, exercising outside. I was a heavy girl, and I remember I always was like, insecure about putting certain things on. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to go outside and exercise in front of people. So I went outside and I tried to go for a run. And I remember I got like a half a block and I was winded. And I was like, just, it was terrible. And I was like, okay. So then I was walking, running, doing the best I could. And that was the beginning of me trying to exercise, like getting out and actually moving again. Yeah, I remember thinking like, just like everybody, we going into a new gym or going to exercise in front of people can be really intimidating. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I hope nobody sees me. And, that eventually diminished.
Good.
Eventually. But it was like, I still did it. I got out every day and it was like, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. Because I remember it was like I was putting on a shirt and and a bra. And the bra actually snapped because I was gotten even bigger. And that was like the breaking moment. That day I went outside and I was like, I need to change. Like, I could not do this, right? Not to mention, like, of course you're depressed. You know what I mean? Like, you don't
Yeah.
even know it, but you're feeding yourself improperly. And the chemicals and everything that happens in your body it affects your mental health, not to mention you're insecure about going into public as who you are. You know what I mean? It's like you don't want to look a certain way. You don't feel good in front of people. It's like no matter how positive I seemed on the outside, in my head, I was super insecure. Like, what are these people going to think of me? I have to be the funny girl because I'm a big girl and I don't want to be like me. So I was always trying to be like the class clown.
It's interesting. It affects so many different parts of someone's personality.
Totally.
Wow.
It's so crazy.
No, but that is inspiring though that you just that was the turning point and then you just forced yourself to be consistent
That's right.
and you did what you could.
I did what I could.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my mom was always into the gym. So I eventually started going to the gym again with her and hitting the gym, but it was not fueling myself properly. And I remember it was a venti Starbucks like Frappuccino every morning. And that was basically it. That was like getting me through the day. And I shrank. I was like every week just getting smaller and smaller. It was so crazy. I can't believe it.
So that was the phase when you started doing the cardio.
Right. I was in the cardio phase and like the sugar was keeping me alive. Yeah. I was getting super skinny.
That's interesting because that's relatable too with the Starbucks, the Frappuccino every day. A lot of Americans are obsessed with their daily Frappuccino. Wow. So then you started realizing you started focusing on the cardio. You started cutting out the sugar, started making better choices with that.
Well, that was like eventual. So once I like lost quite a bit of weight, it took about a year for me to lose like I lost like 150 pounds, but it took about a year for like 100 pounds. I think it was,
It's amazing.
it was scary because my mom was nervous about my heart. She's like the drastic,
Nice.
and then she knew she had a feeling that I wasn't feeling myself properly. And long story short, like it was about a year and I started to find like a little bit more of I was starting to plateau in my weight. I was like, okay, here I am, I'm running, doing all this stuff, I started going into the gym and that's when I did some yoga. And the yoga was like the nurturing thing for me. I remember like, it was like, I don't remember exactly what she said, but it was like something along the lines of we're not pushing or forcing ourselves into this. We're trying to find the softness into the space, right?
Wow.
And I was like, you know what? Like, I am so aggressive with everything I do because I'm competitive at heart. Like, I love competing and I still do, but I have a balance. It's not about necessarily competing against other people. It's really about competing against myself in a loving manner. And I remember it was like this shift of like, I can't sit here and starve myself and be running 10 miles a day, feeding myself. And, that was like, it was really crazy.
It's so cool because it shows how holistic fitness is. And in that moment you realize that it's not about the extremes, it's not about the external. It seems like you kind of shifted internally.
That's exactly right. Yoga is a physical practice. It really is. And I know people see it as a physical practice, but in that moment, it was a spiritual connection to my human. I remember thinking to myself, like, oh my God, number one, I'm breathing. I don't know if I've taken a whole breath my entire life. Like, I've been breathing very shallow, very anxious, very insecure.
Survival.
And I took a big breath and I remember, oh my God, that feels so good and so peaceful and so relaxing. I think I was like 22 at this point. I was young. This all happened like, I was big to begin with in high school. I blew up. By the time I was 20, I was like, I started to make the shift. And then I took like a year to lose all that weight. And then the yoga happened when and I became a yoga teacher. I knew at that moment in time that I wanted to be a yoga teacher. That was like
Wow.
the first fitness thing that I actually like took on and did like the training and being like, this is such a kind, beautiful practice. And there was still some ego in it, but
I see.
yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So then you got into yoga and then you started, when did you start the weight training?
It was around the same time. So I started doing weights and yoga, and I was still doing a lot of cardio still because I thought that in my head, and I'm sure a lot of women can relate that cardio was the way to be. You wanted to do cardio so you could be thin. You know what I mean? This was, 17 or whatever years ago. And so I started weight training a little where I would do like some bicep curls and some squats, nothing crazy. I would, just do my shoulders, like just regular gym stuff that I kind of didn't know a lot about at that time. And I took my yoga training. I was always in the gym, doing a little bit of stuff and some cardio and some yoga.
Good combination.
Yeah, which is, in my personal opinion, I love strength training. I love conditioning, like I love like stuff like we did yesterday, the hybrid athlete thing. I like that a
Yeah.
little bit, not all the time. And then I love once or twice a week for most athletes would be an incredible shift of their whole body. You know what I mean? I
Sure.
think it really rounds everything out and releases the tension. Also supports the joints and long lean muscles instead of the bulky.
100%. Yeah, it's a nice balance.
Yeah.
A couple times a week
Yep.
with the weight training, with the cardio, with
Yep.
the circuit, like conditioning classes. Yeah,
Yep.
that's amazing. What you say is the your fundamental why, like your reason for training and being so consistent. What would you say the driving force?
I would say, like, as a human being, I'm a very happy person and I've been happy almost my whole life. I had the little stint of depression and we all go through it, right? But I think like a lot of people that know me think that I'm a very positive, like happy human. And I really think through our physical nature is how we are showing up to the world. And I think that being comfortable and happy inside your body is one of the most important things in the world. So my why is I want to be the best version of me. So number one, I can show up for myself. Number two, my human can assist other people and let them be who they are with a full, confident, embraced person. Because when I was insecure, all I could think about was myself. I could not think about anybody else. I was in my head. I was like, oh, what do they think about me? Are they looking at me? Like, do they think I'm fat? Are they judging me? Do they think I'm like not good at taking care of myself. I was always thinking like that. Now that I love me and I'm confident in myself, I can create a space as a human being where I can let people be who they are without worrying about myself. I'm so comfortable here and so loving here. To me, it allows me to love everybody else.
Yourself, you can then focus on entirely on other people.
That's right. And I think we forget that a lot in our lives. We think that exercising is a selfish thing. Okay, we can call it that, but in the end, really what it's doing is allowing you to be fully you so you can be okay with being in the presence of other people and loving other people because you can love yourself. Because you can't love other people if you can't love yourself, like at the end of the day.
Like from this perspective, like this
Yeah.
is, really cool conversation. Because you're really giving me like new perspectives on things.
Thanks.
And I love doing these interviews. Oh, that's so true. Yeah, the more you invest in yourself and dig deep and do the work and self-development and have the self-awareness and all of that, the more you not only maximize yourself, but you feel at peace and can focus more on that's so cool. And it shows because like you and Joshua are just so, such happy people and
Oh
such
my
like
gosh,
loving
yeah.
people and like your energy is just like amazing. And so it
Thank
shows
you.
that yeah, because most people aren't on that level, like energetically. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's so cool. Both of us. I remember yeah, back in the day, I'd always go to Punch and I'd see you both in there, doing your thing. And you were always like so consistent
Yeah.
and always just seemed like it had such good energy.
It's my best friend. We've been together 11 or 12 years now. And like he met me as a full version of myself, like a completed version of myself. Meet me, I wouldn't say 100% healed because he's definitely part of that journey, but mostly healed. I was definitely in a good balance. I was definitely feeding myself. I felt healthy. I was athletic. I was strong. I was in the gym a lot then. And he was very gym oriented. And I remember when we met, it was like, oh, we like the same things. We're both athletic. We both like to do stuff physical. Like this is like, and he was a personal trainer. I was a yoga teacher, and then we swapped. We both took each other's, like we took trainings together, and we both recerted on our personal training. And he became a yoga teacher. I became the trainer,
That's
and then
cool.
we both did both. So that was like that was really fun because we traveled all over the world and did yoga together. And like, oh yeah, we lived in New Zealand. Like we've been all over the world and we've traveled and done, I know, some crazy stuff. We've had such a good life.
That's amazing. So you traveled for yoga, like doing workshops
Yeah.
or just like
Yeah, both. So he became a yoga teacher and we both did our certification in Thailand and we spent 3 months in Thailand becoming yoga teachers. I was already a teacher, but I went and did the same training with him because you can keep training and every training is different. There's different modalities, different schools of thought. So it's like you can do Ashtanga, Vinyasa, Hatha. There's a bunch of different books that you can learn from. Yeah. So we went and did a training together in Ashtanga in Thailand for 3 months. The training was 1 month long and then we traveled for 2 months after
that
that.
is so cool.
I know when we first met, we moved to New Zealand after a year of knowing each other. We got married at 8 months. It was so crazy.
Wow.
And then we moved to New Zealand. I taught yoga while we were there, and we both like bartended and ran this restaurant. And yeah, that was like our first traveling experience together.
That's so cool though. It's cool. It's also inspiring because when that's your person. And that it's a perfect example of that. It's like you both support each other. That's such a cool story in itself.
And now he's my best friend.
He's awesome.
He is awesome. And he's a positive, number one, he's an athlete too, which is fun, but he's also so calm. When I met him, I thought he was already a yogi because his human is just so neutral. It's just so peaceful. And I remember just being in his presence and thinking, oh my God, he's like a breath of fresh air. Like he is just calm and cool. Also like looks crazy. Like he's, he's got crazy hair and tattoos and he's, beautiful, but he also is like just peace. He felt like peace to me. So
That's amazing. Yeah, it's not often to find people like that. Like so you both are yeah.
so grateful.
That's
I
awesome.
can't believe we found each other.
That's awesome. Got an inspiring fitness journey and also an inspiring like
Love story.
yeah, exactly. Love story. A good example for couples everywhere, honestly. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, he is like always encouraging me. Like you said, we're happy, high vibey. And I remember being in like previous relationships and they were like they would get jealous of my personality. You know, I'm kind of flirty. I love humans. I'm out there like, and they didn't like that, you know, but Josh is the same. And he allows me to be that way. Let me say Joshua. He likes Joshua. But he allows me to be my human and I allow him to be his. And it's like, you know, we're confident and comfortable and we trust each other. And it's like, you know,
yeah,
and because of fitness and we're good to ourselves, we could be good to each other.
it's amazing. No, I like that. I could actually see you both like speaking
Oh,
subjects. Yeah,
thank you.
that's so cool. What's your most would you say that shaped your belief in what you could achieve? You've done so many different things. Definitely have the confidence, overcome a lot.
Okay, so I would have to say like recognizing in my person that I was able to make those shifts. It was such a powerful, like, I'm doing this now. And it was like when I made the decision, I even did it with smoking. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I am going to quit now, or I'm going to start this now, and just actually following through with what you say. And I think that that comes on the smallest scale. If you're like, I'm going to wake up at 6 in the morning tomorrow, and then you keep hitting snooze, you're literally failing yourself the second you wake up in the morning. And it's really about like, if you are going to say you're going to do something to yourself, honor it. So I think like actually showing up for myself and continuously doing it, even though the habits were not so healthy at the beginning and I had to learn that shift, I think showing up regardless was the real thing that made me shift. It was like, oh my God, I am going to do this. I am going to change my life. You know what I mean? I am going to take the steps. And I even did it, like I said, with smoking. I was like, I cannot be a runner and smoke. I remember thinking, I'm going to quit right now. And I just never did it again.
Cold turkey.
Boom. Yeah. I mean, I did get those little, it was right when
The patches,
no, it's the
little vape things.
the vape pens
Okay.
came out. The vape pens were starting to be a hot thing. And I remember I bought one and I went out, you know, and I was like, I had the vape pen and it broke. And I was like, it was like within like the first couple of days of me saying I'm going to quit, right? And I was like, okay, it broke. And I was like, I'm just not going to do it at all. Because I was going to transition from that to the vape and then be done. But it broke and I was like, I'm done. I'm just not going to do it. I know. Thank gosh, because I mean, smoking is so disgusting.
It's cool though that you have that to relate to as well.
Yeah.
And so your fitness journey is like so well rounded where you can really relate to anyone. That's cool. So then I love what you said about starting with the small things. It's so small things are so powerful.
Yeah.
If you fail yourself, if you say you're gonna get up a certain time, you don't. You say you're gonna do this, you don't. It takes away from building that confidence in yourself, and then it really does start small.
I know. It's like that's when you start to trust yourself, right? It's like if you're saying, I'm not going to eat this food or I'm going to have one bite of this food, but then you have the whole thing, you're failing yourself. You know, that is a failure and nobody else knows, but you know, and your body knows that you're not going to do what you told it you're going to do.
Wow.
So it's so important that if you're going to make these regulations and rules for yourself, make them obtainable because if you cannot do it, you're failing yourself and now you don't trust yourself. So it's like when you do decide, really do it, you know?
I like that. That's so powerful.
Yeah.
And it really comes back to doing what you can, like starting small.
Starting small. I
like
know. It's like, okay. Because everybody in their fitness journey, they start to, you know, they go in and it's like, you know, say they're overweight and they want to lose some weight and they want to get into the gym and they're going to start 5 days a week and they haven't worked out ever. It's like, listen, I know you want to come 5 days a week, but let's be real. How many days can you really fit in your schedule? Is it 2, 3? Let's be real with you. You know, like if you're tired, say you can come 2 days a week and you make it 3 this week. That's an accomplishment. Instead of being like, I'm going to go 5 days and you only make it 2, then you feel like shit, you know? So
That's
it's like,
true.
it's finding that shift of being like, okay, I'm starting out my journey. I'm going to make a goal for 2 days a week. And if I can make it 3, it's going to be like a nice little heck yeah.
I like that. It's such a shift in perspective. Wow. You got so many different ways, you know, mindset shifts.
Yeah.
That's awesome. If this is kind of a fun question, but if your fitness journey or overall journey was turned into a movie, what would the title be?
I'm going to just say this because it just came to my mind. A little bit of Drake, you know, started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense too.
Totally.
Because it's so everyone's journey is different, but you've really experienced the extremes,
Yeah.
which is like that is perfect for being a coach, being a trainer. Yeah, no, for sure. Start from the bottom.
Yeah, totally. You can use it, please. We have to ask Drake, but I think it's okay. I'm just joking.
If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, what would you say? In general, this could be anything.
It's gonna be okay. Whatever you do in your life, you're gonna be okay because it's all a learning experience. And, I talk about how I don't think about that portion of myself, but if she would have been like, if I could have told her something, it's like, you're gonna be okay. Just keep moving. You know what I mean? You're gonna be fine. All these things are gonna be a beautiful story one day and you're gonna be happy.
Yes. Uh, Interesting that with that one question, there's some similarities, there's some patterns where uh, most people, including myself, would basically tell their younger self just to chill,
Yeah,
just like enjoy life, let
yeah,
it flow.
yeah.
That's funny that we put pressure on ourselves. I think that's mostly like from society, or is that mostly a thing?
I think it can come from society, definitely. I think a lot of our ideas come from, parents, society, like whatever, what we think life is supposed to look like. But it also comes from ourselves, it's like whatever we're taking in from family, society, whatever, we're holding those things in us where we're like, we have to be this by this age, or we have to look like
Yes.
this because this is what's cool or pretty or popular, or we have to be like this. And it's like, let it all just go, like be who you are, let yourself evolve, and enjoy the ride because really that's what this is about. It's a giant learning experience.
That's so true. To just focus on the journey, just here now,
Yeah.
present.
Well, we think too, like, we see our friends, and especially with social media nowadays, it's like, oh, this person's doing this, or look how good they're doing. And it's like, okay, but that's their path. Like, you just admire their path, which is cool. It's okay to admire people's paths, but your path is just as valid and just as awesome. It's just different. You know what I mean? It's like, I always think about like people being like comparing themselves, and that just isn't your path. Like you have to enjoy yours, and yours might look more simple, but you have no idea what's going to happen. That's a beautiful place to be too, no matter where you are. Who cares if this person's got $1 million at 22?
Yeah,
You're where you are and you're perfect.
that is very well said, and it took me years to understand that.
Yeah,
I used to compare, having like an entrepreneurial path and trying to figure out my
totally.
path to myself. And I had all these successful friends who I was happy for,
Yes.
but then I was trying to figure out my own path. It took me years to figure out that I wouldn't be happy doing anyone else's path, and you can't compare. It's so true. Everyone needs to realize that. Yeah.
One of my favorite, he's like a yogi. His name is Ram Dass, also known as Richard Alpert. He's like a famous, his quotes. He was, I think, 50 or 60 when he went on his path and like realized like he broke away from his first part of his life and he became who he was at like 60 years old or 50 years old. And it's just like you think about that and it's, we don't really know. We're still young. We have
True.
no idea who we're going to be in 20 or 30 years from now. And we're probably going to go through many chapters of, life where it's going to it'll be cool to see. And it's just, we have to honor it. Wherever we are is exactly where we're supposed to be, or else it wouldn't be happening.
It's true. I like that. Just to let life take you where it's going to take you.
That's right.
Just try to follow your heart the best you can.
That's right. I do. So now I wake up at 4:40 in the morning to open the gym. So the gym we opened in September, so 8 months, I think, or something like that. And I always, I used to meditate first thing in the morning. Now that I get up at 4:40, I do not have the time in the morning, but I do have like this coffee thing that I do. It's a coffee ritual. I get up, I make my coffee. It's like my peaceful part of my morning. I drink 2 pints of water, the very first thing I do in the morning. I know it's a lot. Most people are like, how do you do that? I'm like, I just 2 pints of water,
16 ounces?
16 ounces. So it's 32 because it's two of them.
Oh, that's a lot of water.
It's the first thing I do in the morning just to, it's like a flushing of your body, just a quick hydration. You just went 8 hours without water, hopefully 8, maybe. But so I do that. I take my vitamin, I get ready, and then eventually I meditate later in the day, usually 15 minutes. But I used to do it first thing in the morning until I was waking up that early. It's to have my coffee, but I love the whole like act of making it and smelling it and knowing like what I get to have.
That is cool.
Yeah.
And I read that you don't want to.
20 minutes I think is optimal. 75 is okay because I think it spikes like cortisol levels and your body like gradually raises in cortisol. It's natural. But if you drink coffee right when you wake up, it's like you're there already. And then you have a 2 p.m. more often than not if you drink too early, the caffeine.
No,
Yeah.
it's that good.
Yeah.
Because I read that it was beneficial, but I never actually applied it. Just get up and go.
I know, because people want to get going, you know?
Yeah.
But I know I got enough energy in this body to do it without the coffee. I wait my 90 minutes and then I have it.
So you notice a big difference.
I do, yeah. I mean,
Oh,
I'm energetic in general. Like, I probably don't need the coffee. I'm pretty hyper. But I enjoy it. It's like, you know, I
Yeah.
look forward to that little zip and I like the way it makes me feel. So I do have it. Caffeine has tons of benefits as well as if you drink too much. Yeah, so that's like my
ritual. No, I like
Yeah.
that. And I know what you mean. I love my cup of coffee. It gives you that little break to get your mind right. Advice for those struggling with self-doubt or lack of motivation.
Motivation is such a funky thing, and I know that this is like a big topic right now, is like motivation is only going to get you so far. It's really discipline, right? You could have motivation one day and the next day you don't want to get out of bed. It's about the discipline aspect of it and knowing that like showing up for yourself, number one, is the most important thing. And even if it's showing up and you're only 60% or 40%, still doing it. Yeah. Cause I say like, you know, if you're going to go to the gym and you feel like, don't go if you're sick, of course, like whatever. But if you're tired and you still get up and move your body and you felt 30 or 40%, you didn't push it super hard, you still got up and moved, and that's discipline. Do it every day. A little bit of every day, you know, not working out every day, but show up for yourself a little every day. And I think that that's the biggest thing is like, don't ride the coattails of motivation. Be ready for discipline.
Like that quote.
Well,
I
it's,
like that.
it's the only way we make it, right? If you want motivation, there's going to be months or years of your life where you might not be motivated and you just need to have that discipline.
And basically, you like scale it back to what you can do.
That's right. You don't want to push 100% every day. It's not attainable. Know that some days you're going to feel 40 or 30%, still showing up, moving a little bit. That's what's up, you
I
know?
like that.
Yeah.
That's a cool quote too.
Yeah, don't ride the coattails of the motivation. Be on that discipline for sure.
Awesome. There's so many good quotables in this. This is a fun question. What's your biggest gym pet peeve? Not to be like negative, but like everyone has a pet peeve.
Totally, yeah. I don't like when people think that they can't.
Very positive.
Yeah, I'm like, you show up and, you know, we are a workout of the day gym at the core. So if you show up and you're like, I can't do that, 99% of the time, there's a modification that's going to allow you to do something super similar. So don't say I can't. You should always show up with the attitude of what can I do? That's, you know, how can I?
That was a really good one.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't, you know, people doubt themselves. And then you have that one person that makes you feel confident or like says, yes, you can. And then before you know it, you're doing it, you know?
Makes a big difference.
Yeah,
Sure.
totally.
It's so true. It's been shaped other areas of your life beyond just physical health. I know you kind of touched on it because it's been such a pivotal part of your life.
Yeah. So I would say it's definitely been, it's a huge part of my life. Like it's now, you know, I have the studio and here with Josh and Kyle, and it's like, it has shaped my entire life because this is like my social thing. It's my fun thing. It's my, I need to be alone and do my own thing. It's my private, you know, it's like, it's a big part of all of it. You know what I mean? So it's shaped my life in so many ways. My friends are, you know,
Every aspect, basically.
yeah, it's like I've met most of my friends through this.
What is the coolest, kind of a random question, and you can be biased, coolest or favorite gym you've ever been to in the world since you travel so much?
Oh, goodness. Okay. Oh, recently we were in South Africa and we were doing a yoga retreat. So we hosted a yoga retreat in South Africa and we were on this, we were in Kruger National Park in this little, we were doing like a safari. And it was a little tiny old school gym. Everything in it was rusty and it was all broken down, but it was still just enough equipment to like get a great workout in before I had to go teach yoga and go on the safaris and stuff. So it was like this little tiny, it was just old school. It was like,
Oh, that got that classic feel to it?
yeah, it had a classic feel. It felt like, you know, being a kid. I remember like going to the gym as a kid and like it had all these old and like, just
Ah,
rusty
nice.
and old school. And it was just like this little piece of crap gym, but it was perfect for what I needed. And I would have to say that that was probably one of my little favorite experiences that I can think of right now.
It's cool. It's interesting that like those gyms have more personality like that, more the old weights, the old. There's something about them as opposed to like a conventional like morning crunch.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, even in Miami, like Muscle Beach, I love that. Or Beach, like I love those outdoor beachy gyms. Even though I'm not as good at like the bar stuff, like hanging and pull up stuff, like I still love that environment because number one, it's outside. Usually in those kind of gyms is like so fun and playful and different.
I love South Beach.
Yeah,
So
me
cool.
too.
Back in the day, they didn't have much, and I'm glad that they built on it. It's really cool.
It's really nice now, yeah.
So just general balance.
Okay, so this has been manipulated throughout my whole entire experience. When I started to eat again and like treat myself healthy, I was very strict and I ate like spinach and chicken and like, very bland, nothing crazy. And then I met Josh, and Josh is he likes to explore. So we have through the past 11 years, I was vegetarian for 5 of those years. I was vegan for 2. There was a portion of that where I only did yoga and cardio and I didn't lift weights, and that's when I was vegan. Was nurturing enough to my body to where I felt okay as a vegan. But then the second I started lifting heavy again, my body instantly was like, eat the meat. Yeah. So I remember one morning I woke up and I had been going to the gym again for like probably a week, and I had been lifting weights. And I started lifting heavy, and I was strong, so it wasn't hard. I remember a direct craving in my mind was eggs. I was like, your body wants eggs. And then once I ate the eggs, a day later, I was like, just eat some chicken. You need some chicken. And I ate chicken, and that was like let's see, I started eating meat again, I think it was, or something. And I'm so glad I do eat meat. I feel way better. And I remember, because, I'm a yogi as well. I'm not only a gym girl, I'm a yoga girl. So I remember thinking I was nervous to let my yogi friends know that I was eating meat again. And I was like,
so many are vegan.
Yeah. And I remember, why am I nervous to tell my friends that I'm eating meat again? Like, who cares? Like, and I used to have this big thing where I was like, I'm a bad person if I eat the animals. And it was a real struggle for me to eat animals again. And then one day I said, you know what? Plants are alive too. They are maybe more intertwined into this world than an animal, maybe. We don't know. We really don't know what plants are capable of. That's alive, and so is this. This just looks more close to our physical bodies.
Yeah.
So it was a big mental thing. And now I do my little like prayer when I eat the animal. I just thank you for your life, chicken or cow. So I'm very aware of what I'm doing, because I think a lot of the disconnect in our diets now is like we go to the grocery store and we're picking up a slab of meat.
Yes.
We don't even think that this was a living being.
No.
Right. So I do my little like connection to it. I'm like, oh, this was the chicken and I'm thankful for its life. Thank you for feeding me.
Yeah, kind of like Native Americans and like
Exactly.
like that.
It was like direct. It was like I wanted eggs, and then I wanted chicken. And I didn't eat red meat for a couple months, and then like one day I was like, I think I want to try some steak, and I did, and now I eat steak once a week.
Yeah, it's interesting. I tried a vegan diet for like a short period of time, and you can make it work, but
Yes.
it's just so much easier and more natural. It felt more natural to have balance.
Well, to put muscle mass back on and like be able to lift heavier, it was a very, very big transition. Like I remember I was a vegetarian vegan. And when I started lifting heavy again, I was like, I felt weak.
Yes.
And the second I started eating meat, I was like, okay. And you get the initial thing with the vegan diet at first where you're feeling really good. So good. But then you start to feel tired, and then I had to take B12 supplements, and I remember giving myself a shot, and I'm like, I could just get all this from eating. I don't want to put anything artificial like in my body. You know what I mean? I was like,
I respect those who are vegan.
I do too.
But like, for me, yeah, it's much more natural. And then throughout history, some societies were more plant-based, but they still like
Right. Well, it's dependent on what's available. I think that's it's good to be able to adjust to that. We all feel that when it's summertime. We want lighter foods. But yeah, and I respect it too, because I come from the yogic world and I spiritual practice for them. And I relate to it because I did it. But I also know I feel more optimal having meat. So I eat everything now. If that answers the question. I don't eat a lot of dairy. I eat a lot of vegetables. I eat rice, sweet potatoes, chicken, steak,
That's balance.
eggs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to deny cheese if I'm at a party and somebody has something that,
The same way, yeah. Same balance,
yes.
trying to avoid
Sugars and
preservatives.
processed food.
Exactly.
Reason, don't eat it. If it comes in a box, don't eat it. If it's real, eat it.
Yeah, it makes it so much simpler.
It's so simple. When people ask me food stuff, I'm like, what can I change about my diet? I'm like, even that protein bar that you're eating, and they're like, but it's supposed to be healthy. I'm like, listen, it's processed. If you need something on the fly, go ahead and do it once in a while. It's processed. Bring that apple, the banana. You can have, even sourdough bread that your friend makes. Eat that instead of the protein bar. Like,
That's true. That's
they're still okay. If you got to do it, you got to do it. But try to.
Do you have like a favorite cheat meal? Well, not this. I mean, you eat balanced, but is it like
Totally.
okay?
Yeah, so I love pizza, even though I don't eat cheese. My friend actually, she's from Philly. She told me that they call it tomato pie.
Oh,
So once a week, Josh and I will do a tomato pie. I get Hawaiian. I get gluten-free crust.
okay.
So I don't even think of it as like a huge cheat because it's like gluten-free and it's
Yeah.
not a lot of cheese. It's mostly meat and a little pineapple. Like it's not like a bad meal, but I get like this little personal, and I consider that my cheat meal. And then occasionally him and I will do, he does ice cream a lot more than me because he has a different metabolism than I do.
Oh,
And
okay.
I have to respect that.
Likes ice cream.
Oh my God, he loves ice cream.
That's
But he
cool.
eats vegan ice cream because he doesn't do.
Awesome.
Yeah. But every once in a while, maybe like once a month.
It sounds like a good balance. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the crazy diets are not sustainable.
They're not sustainable, yeah.
That's true.
People just need to eat the food
Oh,
and limit the sugar.
makes it so easy.
Yeah.
If you could do one exercise, kind of a big question, for the rest of your life, it's a two-part question. One exercise for the rest of your life, what would it be? And then one exercise that you could take out, like one that you don't like.
Okay, so I love anything lower body. I think a lot of the girls are like that. I know that
Oh, yeah.
a lot of the girls love working legs. It's our strong point. It makes us feel good because we're good at it, right? So I would have to say back squats and front squats are my favorite because I have long femurs. So it's like it's an easier structure for me to
leverage.
keep because I tend to dip in the back squat, even though my back squat's a lot heavier. But back squats and hip thrusts, or front squats and hip thrusts, would be my two that I would do every day for the rest of my life because I love them.
Those are good ones too.
And then the one that I would get rid of, I think we kind of touched on it. I don't do it a lot. Is I go through I was addicted to it at one time
Yeah.
where I had like an obsession with it. So I think like now it's so funny because I'm like, I don't do it very much. I do my 5Ks in the winter just to make sure I can. So I could get rid of running yeah, but I still do it because I know it's good for me and I know it's good for my heart. So
Yeah. But then again, you get a lot of cardio from like conditioning
Totally.
workouts. And volume.
totally.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I do a lot of I like that stuff. It's like the most stimulating. It's actually my favorite type of workout because
Hard.
it's hard, but I like love that, but I know it's a lot of energy going out. So you
Oh,
have
yeah.
to,
That's I think it's more much more calorie expenditure than
Yeah.
going for a jog.
yes. And I don't wear one of those. I have an Aura ring. It's mainly for my sleep. I don't really care about the calories I'm burning. I'm not like obsessed with that. I just like feeling like I worked hard.
Yeah.
I like that. Like I'm sweating my butt off. I just did 40 minutes of something really hard and now I can just go stretch and be cool.
And then you sleep so much better too. Like
Oh my God, I
that.
sleep like a rock.
Sleep trouble. You just work out consistently and hard, and you sleep like a baby.
I know. I actually have a client right now, came in and they were suffering with a lot of sleep issues. And, they do the sauna, they work out now, and it's sleeping like a baby now. Most of the time. I know some people have some imbalances, but 99% of the time you don't need medicine. You can do it with physical activity, proper diet, and maybe some meditation if you can't shut off your mind.
It's a good point. Yeah, so crazy. Changes like depression and sleep issue, like it all comes together.
Well, I told you I'm hyper, right? And when I was a kid, they wanted to put me on like some meds. Luckily, my mom is she's a little hippy dippy in some ways, not always. And she didn't want to put me on medicine.
Good.
She was like, I'm gonna work around it and had to like learn how to use my energy, and exercising keeps me mentally healthy because if I wake up in the morning and I'm super hyper and I don't know what to do with all that, exercising kind of brings me into a level where I'm like, okay, I'm here. I can chill. I can have the rest of my thoughts and my body calm down because you can see I'm high energy. It's like,
Gotta channel it a certain. Yeah.
I channel it to my exercise and then it makes me feel like a normal human. Yeah.
Makes sense though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Got two more questions for you. What is the best advice uh, you've ever received from a mentor or woman?
I was at the gym and I was the cardio queen. I was on that Stairmaster all the time. And I'll never forget one day he came up to me and he's like, I didn't know him. I had no idea. I had seen him around. We'd say, hey, whatever. And I remember him saying to me one day, and this is very brave for a gym patron he was a trainer, but not at the gym. He came up to me. He said, I know you like doing cardio, but you should start squatting. You should start putting some weight on your back. And he's like, he went over this whole thing about how he sees me all the time and he sees me doing so much cardio. And he was like, and this is a stranger. Now we're great friends and we've been friends since this moment, you know? And he's like, you're depleting all of your muscles. You're literally using the wrong things. And he's like, you need to build some muscles in your legs and your glutes. He's like, as you get older, your body's going to start to pull bones to keep your structure. He's like, if you don't build muscle mass, you're going to get osteoporosis in your hips. And he's like, if you build your muscle mass, your body will take your muscles and not your bones, and you'll be healthier and stronger. And he said, you need to start squatting. And I was like, okay. And we became friends ever since that moment. And like he had a gym. Now he has Circle the Sun Fitness, which is a little bit like Crunch, but a little bit more small and intimate. He's amazing. He's a great person and a great trainer. And that was like really good advice. I remember it to this day, and that's how we became friends, and I'll never forget it because I did. I started lifting weights, squatting more, and I was like, this is great. I know, well, because they're good at chess.
Yeah.
I just saw Brett Contreras, do you know him, guy?
Yeah.
I just saw him say the other day that women's hip thrust is like a men's chest press.
Makes sense.
Which makes sense because I've known my whole life. Men's center of gravity is here, women's center of gravity is here. It's just the way the structure is. So when he said that, I was like, duh. I knew that, but I didn't know that. You know what I mean? So
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
It makes sense because women. I mean, not only
they can really get some serious hip thrust strength if they go for it, and men always have the easy chest press, you know, or bench press.
I've seen women doing like 400, 500 pounds hip thrusts. Yeah.
I know, and it's like intimidating, but this is where our power comes from, and your guys' power comes from up here. So
Makes sense.
very different. I remember hearing it, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes total sense.
I remember I was going to a powerlifting for a while. It was like and it was so cool because they would lift so heavy. They would squat like 275. They would just or deadlift 300s, 315, 330, and they weren't like big and bulky. They were just like lean and strong. And so it's cool that it was like changing so many misconceptions, and then also a lot of them realize how strong they get.
That's right.
And so it's so cool to see them just changing these misconceptions. Yeah, I couldn't believe that. They were just out squatting me like all the time.
I know. Well, we love lower body. It's just like it's and it is really impressive because we should be strong too. Like I know that we're the nurturers. It doesn't have to change who you are. You can be strong and nurturing still. You know what I mean? It's just like we're always going to be carrying babies and doing that thing as ladies. So it's just you can be strong and have easier birth. You know what I mean?
True.
It's like a lot of my girlfriends that work out and keep working out through their pregnancy have a lot easier, and it's not always, but most of the time, an easier pregnancy and easier birth situation. So
that's so true. A friend of mine and their first kid, they basically said was the easiest birth ever. Like they just like popped out, done.
Because she's strong.
Yes, so great. Easiest ever. Said.
Yeah, it's a big deal. You know what I mean? It's like we should also be strong. We shouldn't be weak.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And it makes us more confident and as women. And I think like when you feel strong, you're not going to let somebody push you around, and it probably creates better relationships too, where that's right. You create your boundaries. It's like you feel strong enough to be like, don't mess with me,
Fitness influences every part of someone's life.
Really
That's amazing. Last question.
Okay.
How do you continue to excel beyond boundaries?
I think all the time I'm trying new things. Like for instance, I'm doing the high rocks thing right now. That's a big like fad thing happening. I think it's going to be a fad. We'll see. It's kind of like pickleball, but it's fun. It's like whatever community aspect you can get into and do. So I'm gonna try the high rocks thing, and that's pushing my limits. And I like just seeing what I'm capable of, and it's always shifting. Sometimes it's yoga, sometimes it's fitness. They're always with each other, but it's like, okay, I'm more here, I'm more here. Like, where am I going?
So, wow. Thank you seriously for joining me
Thank
today.
you.
A lot of value. That's going to help a lot of people, really.
Oh, thanks.
And I learned a lot too. A lot of perspective shifts for me.
Uh,
And I have to get Joshua on next.
oh, he's so fun.
And then Kyle as well.
Yes. Yes, both the boys.
So number 28. Thank you, Janine. I appreciate
Thank you,
that.
John.